Welcome. This is your friend Saraja, the Great Prophet. We're going to talk a little more today about a central aspect of my human behavior thesis, and that is the mass media's hatred for Tesla. Now, this is a big subject, and we're not going to get into all of it, but we are going to focus on some recent examples that should make it undeniably clear for any rational, fair-minded person to see that this indeed is the case. So the first question is, why does the mass media hate Tesla? Well, you can summarize it in two words: money and influence. Now, this is not a political statement by any means, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just human behavior. The public in general has been conditioned to believe that the media is an institution, when in reality the media is just a conglomeration of human beings. Human beings who operate on emotion, bias, and motive. You see, the objective of the media, and this may be a new idea for many people, but the objective of the media is not to inform the public. The objective of the media is to influence the public, because influence is what generates revenue. That's what advertising is. It is influence. The better a media outlet is at influencing the public, the more revenue they're going to create for themselves, and the more revenue they're going to create for their corporate clients, for those who are paying them to influence. Now, the more revenue, the bigger the company gets, the better for the shareholders, certainly better for management because that's how you keep your job, and it's better for their corporate clients who pay them. Now, under normal circumstances, to market a product large scale, for instance, a car company, requires billions of dollars in advertising that has to be paid to mass media outlets. The problem is that large scale advertising is burdensome and prohibitively expensive for most companies. It's interesting, years ago, one expert in human behavior wondered aloud whether it was possible to shift attention to a product in an inexpensive way, namely by not having to expend this kind of money for advertising. Well, then came, right about the same time, Tesla, with a superior product, a CEO with almost superhuman persuasive abilities, a lazy, intransigent group of competitors in legacy auto, and a free Twitter account. And with those four things, Tesla did an end around. They managed to build a multi-billion-dollar company. In fact, one of the biggest companies in the world without paying the media $1. That is not supposed to happen. You are not supposed to do what Tesla did. You are not supposed to be able to build this kind of company without paying the gatekeeper. That is going through the media. It was a slap in the face to the entire industry. And not only did it cost the media billions of dollars in revenue that they believed they were entitled to, but more significantly, it was a challenge to their influence. And so for years now, there has been this organic, antagonistic attitude that the media has for Tesla. But we've now reached another level. Tesla has become so big and so successful that it is now an existential threat to the corporate clients of these media outlets, particularly big auto and big energy companies. And the media is not going to allow their benefactors, the ones who pay their bills, the ones who keep their lights on, to be submarined without a fight. And so they are doing everything they can to influence the public against Tesla. And we're going to talk now about three very recent examples. Now, the first one was this story, the tragic story of the car accident that unfortunately killed two people in Texas. Now, the New York Times published an article, and it pretty much ran in line with CNBC and Bloomberg and the other major media outlets. And here's the story, at least here's how it went. So it says 2 men were killed in Texas after a Tesla they were in crashed on Saturday and caught fire with neither of the men behind the wheel, the authorities said. And so as the story goes, at least the story that the media was trying to perpetrate, and it wasn't just the New York Times, like I said, this was across the board, was the idea was that the car was on autopilot and crashed into a tree and caught fire. Now, if you own a Tesla, if you drive a Tesla, if you use autopilot, you knew from the gate this wasn't true. You knew there was no way that took place, because that's not how autopilot works. You can't just put it on autopilot and get in the back seat. That's not a thing. Now, it's true that Consumer Reports came out with this extraordinary, outlandish, and complicated way of gaming the system to make that happen. But do you remember if you remember reading the story, these 2 men were 59 and 69 years old. Okay? They didn't do that. That was not a thing. And so here's a number of tells, because I immediately called this out as false. In fact, here's what CNBC said on April 19th, 2021. Tesla faces another NHTSA investigation after fatal driverless crash in Spring, Texas. Here's what I said immediately. The likelihood that this car was on autopilot is next to zero. Will CNBC retract the story when it comes out that it is just one of millions of car accidents that happen every day? Not even a little bit newsworthy. Now here's another tell. There are 6 million car accidents a year in the United States. 189,000, close to 200,000 car fires in the United States. Almost all of which involve internal combustion engines. You know, combustion, like fire. 90 people die in car wrecks every day in the United States. Now, obviously, that is a sad statistic that Tesla is actually attempting to do away with. But how many times do you see the New York Times report on any of those car accidents? Whether there's a fatality or not, whether there's a fire or not. So why? Why do that? And so it was very interesting. Just shortly after that, who was it? It was Simon Alvarez in Teslarati who said, that's what I like about Simon Alvarez as well as Joey Klenderer, is that obviously they're supportive of Tesla, but what they do, or what they refrain from doing, unlike the mass media, is jumping to the worst possible conclusion. Here's how he titled it. Tesla alleged driverless, in quotation, crash in Texas, what is known so far. And here Simon begins to unpack the details as they were really starting to come out. I myself said it is highly unlikely autopilot was engaged. If it wasn't, the media will do nothing to correct the story. And so what ended up coming out? Well, the truth came out. The car was not on autopilot. It was a car accident. A tragic car accident. But not worthy of any worldwide or U.S.-wide media coverage. And certainly a complete falsehood, this claim in almost all of the major media outlets that this was a fatal driverless crash. And then there were other details as well about how the fire raged for hours, and then we found out from the fire department, no, the fire was a couple minutes long. And I think they even gave a detail that there was 35,000 gallons of water were used to put out the fire. When is the last time you heard how many gallons of water were used to put out a fire? So clearly, this was media pile-on because they hate Tesla. For all the reasons that we just described and many more. Now, here was another recent one. This one, oh, I love this one. Here on a Sunday night, media outlets began saying that Tesla Berlin Gigafactory is delayed another 6 months. Now, I called this out immediately. I even said, so Raja the Great Prophet is calling this out as fake news at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday, May 1st. It was May 2nd, but on that Sunday. I said the Tesla hate machine in the media is running on all cylinders. Stay tuned. Let's see how this plays out. So, how did I know? How did I know that this was a fake story? And indeed, as we soon saw, it was all just made up and a bunch of hype. Because did you really think some journalists sitting in a cubicle or sitting in his home office on a Sunday night before the stock market opened, happened to find out that Tesla was delaying the Berlin Gigafactory by 6 months. Tesla had just had their earnings report and said nothing of the sort. So it was so blatantly obvious that this was a lie. And let me explain something about lies and half-truths, because many times what we say here is the media is reporting half-truths. A half-truth is a whole lie. Now, here's the last one. This is the Saturday Night Live one. Just article after article with unnamed sources that talks about how the cast of Saturday Night Live was so unhappy to have Elon Musk on the show. I said this: I can't stop laughing at the flood of repetitive Mean Girl articles. Remember the movie Mean Girls? Mean Girl articles with unnamed sources who say the SNL cast doesn't want him on the show. I said irrelevant, but this is a tell. And then I had to say a little later, allow me to clarify, I believe the story is totally fabricated. Do you know what, and now obviously the cast of Saturday Night Live probably has certain political leanings, but Elon Musk is not a political figure. Do you know what they really care about? Their show and their career and people watching it. And I can guarantee you, with Elon's Twitter presence, this will probably be the most watched Saturday Night Live episode ever. And I can guarantee you that the cast of SNL is thrilled to have this fascinating billionaire who's making self-driving cars and sending rockets into space and bringing them back down. I am certain that they are thrilled to be with him and thrilled to have him on the show. So it's just another example of the media's hate. So don't be distressed, everyone. No one can stop the march of history. No one can stop the disruption of the transportation industry that we're in the middle of, and the disruption of the energy industry that's coming. This media disinformation campaign is going to fail very soon. And for our team, if you're an owner, if you own part of this company, it is going to have tremendous and glorious consequences. By the way, I encourage everyone to go on to Sarajah.com, SARAJAH.com. I had a lot of support from the last video. This is not my company. These are some young relatives of mine who allowed me to use their name. And so in response or in return, I would just like to support their company. A skincare company. It's an amazing product that's been passed down from generation to generation. They're great kids. And in fact, I really appreciate the support from the last video, because from all the orders from the YouTube videos, they were completely wiped out of inventory. So they're waiting on a new supply from Ghana and West Africa, sustainably harvest shea butter, and they're going to go ahead and put their recipe together and get another batch of inventory. So if you'd like to place an order, just be patient. It'll take a little while for them to get it to you, but they'll get it to you. If you're from outside the United States, just go down to the Contact Us portion, put in your information, and they'll be sure to get your product out there. So anyway, we'll see how you like this one, and maybe we'll do it again. And feel free to subscribe if you like.